Hey guys, Mr. E here, and today we're taking a look at a few excerpts from an interview that friend of the channel Jefficus did with Victor Magnuson, who is the game director, lead creative director, something like that. He's basically the captain of the ship over at Fat Shark. He decides, okay, this is what we're doing for this update, this is what we're doing for the next update, and then he delegates. So like balance team, he says, okay, balance team, work on this, work on implementing this talent tree, or changing this one, or getting these weapons aligned. Okay, creative team, get this sort of character drafted up and put them in the game and get the art all right for the maps, whatever. So he is very, very important, needless to say. He's the person who calls the shots, and so we need to listen keenly to what he has to say about where Darktide is going from here, because if you don't, well, then you are going to have no idea what Darktide's going forward. And what he has to say today, some of it I think is very interesting. Some of it I'm a little bit skeptical or concerned about in some regards, but I just wanted to put my ideas out there just in case, he's listening, and let me know if you agree down below. Let's go ahead and remember to subscribe, guys, if you like Darktide content. Okay, let's go.
So when Shack News interviewed you over the summer, you stated that you had 3 class ideas on the shortlist. Does this mean that we can anticipate another class release in, say, 2026?
Well, that was I listened to your YouTube video with Joe who plays Joe. Yeah, with Joe, yeah, and so I heard you speculating about that. Actually, that was a different shortlist, but that does not mean either or. But those three that were on that shortlist was not on the shortlist for this group actually.
Oh.
So we have there's a bigger shortlist now.
Oh,
like
well. That is pretty
I don't know if that answers your
exciting.
question at all, but yeah, I mean, yes, we will be doing classes going forward.
Okay, so I mean, as he says there, it seems like they were pulling from a shortlist of 3 for Arbites, and then they turned around and pulled up another shortlist of, I think he also implies that it's 3 for the Hive Scum. So potentially, if we've taken 2 out of a 3 item shortlist, we have 4 classes left that they have drafted up to some extent, and that would coincide with what I have heard, which is that there are lots of ideas floating around in the ether. We'd have to imagine at least one of them is AdMech, right? They have to have heard the clarion call from the rooftops that AdMech is the most desired class possible. So there is a lot of classes that they are thinking about implementing in the future, and I think that's good. I think a lot of players, to talk about why these classes were implemented, they mention it at another time in this interview. If you want to go check that out, by the way, Jefficus's interview is linked in the description. Forgot to mention that. Go watch the full interview. It's got way more context in this. But they talk about why the Hive Scum was chosen as this class. It really ties into why the Arbites was chosen first. And now that I know what I know about how the Hive Scum plays and how it was implemented, and looking back on the introduction of the Arbites, a lot of players assume that it was a mandate from Games Workshop, that it was like, oh, well, Owlcat is doing this, so you guys should do it as well, and they're going to kind of like, release this Arbites all at the same time. I actually don't think that's the case anymore. What I think the case is that Arbites was just the most simple class they could possibly add. It's got a dog, but otherwise than that, it is literally just like every other class in the game, right? It's got an ability that paints a circle that heals you when you stand inside it. It's got a charge ability. It's got an ability that just makes you take a 1,000,000% less damage. And then everything else about the class is just already implemented mechanics in the game, as opposed to the Hive Scum, which is like, it's got dual wielding. It's got like the stim mechanic. It's got all sorts of crazy stuff that just does not exist in the game currently. And the Arbites is like just really simple as far as mechanics to implement and make a new class. And I think that's what they went with from there. And then the reason he talks about that they implemented the Hive Scum next is because it's a great foil for the Arbites. The Arbites is slow and tanky. The Hive Scum is a fast glass cannon. The Arbites is a law upholder, like a law bringer. The Hive Scum is the foil for that. He's a law breaker. And then of course we've got sort of the outside, force who's imperially enforcing the law, and we've got the native denizen of Tertium. So they really like that counterplay, that cops and robbers counterplay, which is what he says. All right, let's continue.
Do you intend to make classes for the foreseeable future, or is there a point in Darktide's life cycle where there's a sufficient amount of playstyles and roles for you and the team?
I think the answer to that is both yes and probably yes again. Like there's definitely probably a point in time when it doesn't make sense and we probably have to come up with something else. I mean, both from a like gameplay perspective, but also maybe from a lore perspective, it will sort of start not making sense to bring in more classes. We're nowhere close to that point right now, I would say, but at that point, I think we would just have to come up with some other way of adding new fun content to the game. I don't know. Of course, at some point, yes, it will be starting to feel ridiculous, but I wouldn't say we're anywhere close to that point right now.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so I mean, basically what he's saying there, if you combine those two things, they will be doing classes going forward. He's so confident. He's so like just straightforward with it. This is not your typical Fat Shark sort of vagity. It is very direct that they will be doing classes going forward. It seems like they already have sort of an established pipeline for it. They've got a few that are on that short list, and they are thinking about making them, or perhaps they're already making them. Fat Shark and saying directly, we will be doing this thing is very different in terms of an approach to literally any other time that I've heard them talk about anything where it's like, we are looking into doing this or we might be exploring like new things in the future. Like they won't even commit to adding new weapons or things to certain classes. It's all, it's all kept under wraps, but this is very direct. So I think that there are things here they are not going to back out on. I think we are perhaps even assured of getting a number of classes from here. And it makes me think that they have a pretty ambitious schedule for releasing these. If we are keeping with what we've seen so far, every 6 months getting a new class, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with that level of clarity that they will be doing more classes, and they have 4 at least prepared on that back burner. Or that they're working towards. So yeah, maybe a class every 6 months, which sounds awesome to me. Listen, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I was definitely hoping more for like map content or something for this end of the year update. I was really hoping for, the Gene Stealers update to happen, but Hive Scum is good too. I just have this concern that if we do all like class content, we will be slacking on that other content, right? Class content is paid content, and then the free content is actually the backbone the game is built on. The classes add flavor to that. So I really need them to get to a point where they can do both at the same time. And I think they absolutely could. They've really cranked up the dial to 11 in terms of productivity this year as compared to last year, is what I'll say. So I'm really hoping we can straddle that line and get both in the years to come.
So when it comes to a lot of the general gameplay features of Darktide, the game recently introduced a dodge counter to the game, and many players in the community really enjoy the extra quality of life. Are there any plans to integrate any other popular quality of life additions or add-ons to the game?
We are constantly trying to add little things like that with each update. It's always like a competition between adding a thing like that and doing some other bigger thing. So it's a matter of trying to find the right priority of what to do next.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it there and address that point. So listen. It's clear what Jeff is asking here, right? He's saying that there are so many mods in this game right now. In order for PC players to play this game, they oftentimes are running mod lists. Like I run a mod list that's about 54 mods long. Now, granted, a lot of those aren't just quality of life. A lot of those are like, actually change the game in some considerable way. But having some of those mods be converted to base game features would be excellent for all players, for players across both console and PC. There are so many things that I've played with since the beginning of time that I literally take for granted, like numeric UI. The fact that numeric UI actually paints a circle, a definitive hard edge on where a healing kit is active, so you don't actually actively stand in it accidentally when you're playing like Martyrdom Zealot or something, or like an Ogre doesn't soak it all up. Those sort of things I feel like should have been added in a lifetime ago, and they absolutely could be. Victor counters with saying that, yeah, they're looking into doing those. They're looking to add more all the time and improve the game, which is a very politician sort of style answer, but that it takes time away from actually developing like, content for the game. I think that's honestly a bit of a cop-out. There are so many devs who are working on these mods just because they love Darktide. They post them on Nexus Mods. They're not making money off of it. I mean, maybe some of them are, but like there is not like a lucrative business to be had here, right? These people are doing it for the love of the game, literally for the love of the game. And so I'm beyond certain that if you just reached out to them and said, hey, we're literally Fat Shark. We want to implement this as a part of the core game. Would you work with us? Would you give us your blessing? Would you show us like how this works, and maybe we can make a more streamlined version, put our artists on it and make it work. You could absolutely get that done. There are so many mods that are just like the most simple. I don't know anything about coding, but they're probably not more than like 5 lines of code where it's like, if you're a mod user, guarantee ability activation, guarantee weapon swap. These are absolute must-haves, and they should be part of the base game with just a literal accessibility option that is toggle on, toggle off, right? Those sort of things should just be in the game, bar none. And they were in Vermintide 2, but then we have this weird situation going on here. So I don't really love that answer, but he does go on to say that they are open to receiving options. So that is why I'm going to be putting out a video in like a day or two highlighting a lot of those options that I think should be added in, and we'll go on.
But yes, I mean, yes, definitely. We will, as we have done previously, we will continue to try to improve every aspect of the game. So definitely. And I would just say, like, if there are things like that you really would like to see, just sort of try to make us aware of it in whatever way you can. I don't know. We are constantly reading Reddit forums, Discord, watching all your YouTube videos and stuff like that, and reading the comments in the YouTube videos as well. So I know, but yes, of course, we will continue to add small little improvements like that, because I agree that like the dodge counter was one of those systems that was in the game but wasn't clearly explained, or like the information was super vague. So it just made perfect sense to add something like that. And there are other things like that we sort of either missed or overlooked, or maybe it wasn't even a thing when we created the base of the game. So yeah.
That's right. And I'm making you aware right.
Okay, so Jeff goes on to talk a little bit past this, but what Victor is saying here is like, yeah, we maybe have overlooked some features that we just kind of like intuit that aren't that obvious to a lot of players, that would be better served as a part of like the default UI or the default experience. I can totally see that, right? When you make something, it's kind of hard to see its flaws, kind of hard to see where it falls apart. That's fair. That's fair to say. If he's saying that he will see our YouTube videos and he will see our YouTube comments and all that stuff, guys, comment down below what features, what like mod, UI or quality of life features you want to see added to this game most, and then thumbs up someone else if they have that same thing. I'm going to put it out right here, right now. I think that numeric UI is probably the number one thing that I would like to see implemented game wide, because it has just the largest host of features that can really make the game that much more transparent. But I would also have like an equal sort of footing for like guarantee ability activation, guarantee weapon swap. Those are super simple to implicate. And then just literally on screen right now, UI like this, I think that it's about time that we get a UI overhaul. This is a very dated UI, and it is very hard to read. Having played Hivescum for a while now, your buffs in that class are super important, especially your ability uptime, and a bar like this just does not cut it. I couldn't imagine playing it in the base game, and I'm very glad that I have my my custom UI to fall back on, and my members do too, by the way. But let's go past there. Jeff goes on to talk here. I actually might skip a little bit. Jeff goes on to talk about the third-person mod, and Victor basically just counters and said, like, yeah, this is not a game that is designed to be played in third person. It does look cool, but remember, when you're designing a weapon or designing the way that the character moves and animates, you don't want to have to think about how it looks from both third person and first person. There's a lot of weapons that look beautiful in the third person mod, which is called perspectives. You want to go check it out on Nexus Mods, by the way. But they are maybe some other weapons that don't look so beautiful, that are very jank and do not live up to the fantasy that you get in first person when you go to third person. And yeah, just having to worry about characters going to third person and clipping their models and all sorts of stuff, it should just not be on their minds. And it makes sense. This is a first person game by default. Let's just keep it first person. But what Jeff says is true here, which is that we should have a ability, just like in Vermintide 2, to press a key and zoom your model out. You have to stand perfectly still while you do it, but then you can rotate around and inspect your character. And also in Vermintide 2, it allowed you to bobble your head up and down really quickly, and it was funny. So they should re-implement that. Let's skip forward and see what is up next.
Make the best first-person melee mods of the third-person mod type of city, but that's not the game we're making, and it would, even though it does look cool in some cases, it's not the game we're trying to make, so we shouldn't focus on doing that. That's my philosophy, at least.
Yeah, I completely understand the vision. Moving on, so Right now, it feels like the story in Darktide has hit a little bit of a lull. It feels like we're in the calm before the storm. Could players expect a climactic escalation soon, such as in the new operation?
I don't know if I would call it climactic, but I do know, and I would dare to say that we will be in the near future going to places that you maybe would not have expected it to go.
Okay, so yeah, we are going to places you might not expect to go. That is quite a tease in the near future as well. Having played the new operation, what I'll say is that this new operation is beautiful. It does have a lot of work put into it. It is very dissimilar in terms of operations from what we experienced with the train mission. The train mission is a concise, like it has a time limit on it. This map is basically just a shorter version of a regular map, which I like a lot. And clearly, this thing is like was hard to make in terms of like the aesthetics. And seeing that their last few maps, Dark Communion, Clandestine Glorion, and now this trench mission are all just like not really taking place in the same sewers and forges of the Hive that we're so used to, gives me a lot of hope that they will be really diversifying their aesthetics going forward. This is one of my main criticisms of Darktide's maps, aside from the fact there's only 20 and Vermintide has 35 of them, is that Vermintide 2 has this great variety in its maps. You know, you've got like dark mine caves full of trolls, you've got enchanted elven forests, you've got like crystalline magic craters, you've got haunted castles, right? There's tons of different frost frozen gorges, you know, that sort of things. There's tons of different biomes to trek through and lots of different places to encounter the enemies, and that adds a lot of variety to the way the game feels. So much of Darktide feels repetitive because a lot of it shares those same tile sets, and they go through sewers and forges and whatnot. And that does get old at a certain point. And I think that a lot of us that have been playing for the last year and haven't received any real new tangible content, and oftentimes if you play Havoc and stuff, you end up being thrown into the same maps over and over and over again. That is a really big pain point. So I'm really hoping that Darktide comes out swinging earlier in 2026 to address that. And in fact, I'm going to say right now, if the first update in 2026 isn't maps, isn't like actual, like, hey, like here we're going to a new Hive city, or we're outside the city, we're you know fighting on the Atonement battlefield or whatever. I'm gonna sound the Mr. E alarm, and you don't want to know what that sounds like, okay, guys? Like that's a full panic. We're going DEFCON E, okay? That's a bad news if that happens. And so I'm really, really hoping that that's what we start the year with, because we have sat neglected for too long while Vermintide players are eating good. Let's go on.
That's very exciting.
But it is. I mean, story in another thing that you can expect is that with the Arbitrus update, we added the player journey. Or Battle for Tertium, I guess it's called in game. Sorry, I will confuse in-game names and developer names sometimes. But the Battle for Tertium, and that gave us tools to be able to do little stories like that. So I think you can expect also more things of a similar type than that as well. So that's something.
Okay, so I think what he's alluding to there is an implementation of more operations. So operations, they teased them, you know, as the Tree mission came out a while ago, but I think it's a good way to tell a story within a mission without having to make the mission like forever long and take a bunch of resources to do it. So here is my proposal going forward. This is what like a dream release schedule for Darktide would be for your mystery here. If we did alternating updates, where one update we have a map and weapon update where you get like 2 maps and then some new weapons or reworks to old weapons, and then the next update is a class introduction plus an operation that can continue to advance the story but in a bite-sized map, and then we just alternate that back and forth. So we go big map update with big story, you know, implications and maybe new enemies and weapon balances or whatever. Then we go class and just keep going back and forth. I would be incredibly beyond satisfied with that for the rest of my lifetime. My worry is that it will become too lopsided and we'll like just only get like, you know, just classes again next year. That would be the worst case scenario. Again, DEFCON E would be sounded, and we just don't want that. But this does, since he's saying they're going to use this like Battle for Tertium system, the little new mission board thing, that does say to me that they're looking to do more of these shorter narrative missions that can tie in between these longer missions, and they can use this to like redefine and make the new the existing missions have more context and be more playable within that context.
To look forward to.
Okay, so you guys are hard at work just cooking back there then, basically.
I mean, we try to cook as fast and as hard as we can.
But
Jeff missed the obvious Swedish chef joke there he could have made. Anyway,
so the audience can't see us right now, Victor. That's completely fine. Just blink once if Chaos Demons are going to be added within the next year. Blink twice if Gene Stealers are going to be added within the next year. Okay, hey, that's all the confirmation I need.
Okay, so I mean, unless Victor is just absolutely fucking around with Jeff there, Jeff knows the secrets now. Jeff has the insider info. He has potentially a hint at what is coming for this next year. Gene Stealer cultists and or Nurgle demons. That was a very, very long pause, right? So one of two things in my mind is happening there. Either he is just staring glassy-eyed directly at Victor, and Victor is staring back at him unblinking for a total of 2 seconds, or Victor is blinking quite a few times. Jeff's response lets me know that I really do feel like it's the latter, that he was blinking more than once. That in fact we could potentially be seeing all of these in this year, which would be crazy, but it is honestly what I have been calling and anticipating for a while. We have hints, plenty of hints. Go check out Joe Plays Games, but like we have tons of hints lore-wise that there is Gene Stealers all around us. They're on the Morning Star, they're on the ship, and where there is one, there are many. Now, the other thing going on is, of course, the Cult of Admonition is threatening to summon something. There's been speculation, again, by Joe, of like a great unclean one. Definitely Nurgle demons. They've been mentioned. Drones have been mentioned. Plague Marines have been mentioned in like little drops and stuff. So, yeah, there's definitely talk of it. It's definitely like just adjacent to where the lore is at currently. It would not be a huge stretch to see it coming in. And we know from the previous interview with Shaq News that Victor has already expressed that if he had unlimited money and time, the number one thing he would add to the game is another enemy faction. So given that, we've got 2 class releases this year, which are money earners, then we can actually spend some time and develop something big for free, right? Which would be adding new enemies. Hopefully this would be free anyway. But yeah, that is a very optimistic outlook, perhaps. But I really do anticipate big things.
Could we anticipate Fanshark to develop more Warhammer games in the future?
I mean, I would look at it like this: we are still working on Vermintide 2. There's still stuff being made there. We are knee deep in working on Darktide. So right now we are so focused on Darktide and Vermintide that I have no idea what happens beyond. But yes, I mean, I wouldn't say, like, looking at what we've done, yes, 100% that could definitely be a thing. But right now we are focused on what we're doing right now. So like for the foreseeable future, at least that I can see, it is Darktide and Vermintide. That is what we're doing, sort of. I mean, it's 7 years ago that Vermintide 2 launched.
Yes, I believe so.
So we do stick around with our games for quite some time.
Okay, so that is the end of the excerpt that I'll play for you. By the way, go check out Jeff's full version, link in the description. But yeah, my thoughts here, and this is going to sound bad, but I am a player who has, I think, 2,700 hours or so in Vermintide 2. I love that game to death, right? But personally, I feel like at this point in its life cycle, 7 years on, if it's going to detract any resources at all from the development of Darktide, which is clearly the game that has the potential to go forward and go places and ascend, then it should be just kind of phased out. And I don't have any say in this, but this is just my personal opinion. It pains me to say, but like, yeah, Darktide is in its prime potentially. Darktide has a great potential to grow and become something awesome if they just add more content to it, more crazy ways and reasons to play. And at the same time, Vermintide it's on. Oh, by the way, Vermintide is like completely free right now. If you download it, you keep it for free. If you've never played Vermintide 2 before, go get it right now. It's an awesome game, but I just don't believe in my heart of hearts that it should be receiving any more support. And I have this like sneaking suspicion that the fact that Vermintide 2 got 4 maps in this last year and Darktide got 0 are somehow interconnected, and I don't like that feeling. I think that if Darktide had gotten 4 maps this year and 2 classes, we would be absolutely fucking cooking right now. Like, this game would be popping off. That is the number one criticism that players have, and I don't think that anybody who's playing Vermintide 2 currently well, maybe not currently because it is free, but like I don't think that Vermintide 2 is hurting for maps at all. Again, like I said earlier, they have 35 maps, like actual maps in the game, plus they have Chaos Waste, plus they have like, Horde mode and all that stuff, and Versus, right? So that that game is completely saturated with content, and you could literally just put it on balance patch, purgatory from here on out, where you just change the balance of weapons, maybe like a weapon or two every now and then, but it's probably good on content for the rest of its life cycle. Darktide needs to be where it's at, in my opinion, and Darktide needs to have all possible resources invested in it because it has a huge potential to grow and really, really stake its claim as one of the better Warhammer games of all time. But anyway, guys, that is just my opinion on the things. Let me know what you think down in the description. I write the description. You write that in the comments, guys. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and go subscribe to Jeff for more of his content. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.